families, creating a lifetime of memories. Sadly, some families are denied these important moments due to the sad practice of alienation. These are families divided.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Families Divided TV. Reconnecting with your estranged or adult child begins and ends with consistency in your communication. In this presentation tonight, Dr. Sue Cornbluth teaches you how your commitment to being empathetic to your children's experience helps repair the relationship. She will also review 4 consistent steps that you can take to start your reconnection journey. This is a great episode and it gives us much insight. We're going to be right back with Dr. Sue Cornbluth right after this important message.
Divorce and co-parenting are a major life interruption for families, especially the kids, but also for parents and grandparents. And it's even worse in blame-filled, high-conflict cases. When parents engage in alienation by turning the kids against the other parent or grandparents, kids suffer. They're denied the opportunity to build the 4 big skills necessary for future resilience. New Ways for Families online class can help. Parents learn to use our popular BIF and EAR skills to calm the conflict and stop the hostile emails and texts. And we even have a class for kids and parents to learn together. Research shows a 75% improvement in joint parental decision-making after this course is taken, plus overall improvements for kids' well-being. Don't wait to make this affordable investment in your children's future and improve your well-being too. Start learning new ways for your family today at conflictplaybook.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Sue Cornbluth. Thank you for joining me again tonight. We are going to talk about a topic that I hope can help you move forward in repairing your relationships with your estranged or alienated children. It's a topic that I feel strongly about and one that adult children who are experiencing this with their parents also feel strongly about. And that is being consistent in your messages to your child when you're experiencing a disconnection. I'm going to go through 4 or 5 steps with you to connect with your adult child in a consistent way to move your relationship forward. And I'm hoping that this will give you a different and new perspective on a new skill to help you when you are navigating through this very difficult family relationship issue. Look, being separated from your children is extremely difficult and hard, but nobody can take hope away from you in terms of reconnecting with them except yourself. So please don't give up on hope. I've seen miracles happen here in my own practice. I've seen children that haven't spoken to their parents in 15 years reconnect with them. So to me, there's always a chance and there's always hope, but you also have to have skills and strategies to do that. And one of the most effective ways of doing this is having consistency in the way that you are reaching out to them, because your child is looking for that in the way that you are communicating with them. One, they are looking for you to communicate in a different way than you communicated before. And that communication has to be in a way that is not demanding, in a way that has understanding and empathy for them, and it shows them that your words meet your actions. Other things that are going to help you here in connecting with your adult child, because that's who I'm talking about tonight, and using consistency in the way that you approach them, is lowering your emotional reactivity. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, an example of this is that when you are going to sit down and write to your children, it's really important that you're in a calm, firm, and non-controlling place where you are coming at this communication with your child from a place of understanding, not a place from anger within yourself. When you're coming from a place from anger within yourself about what has happened between you and your child here, you can't come with understanding. Come on, we all know that. Instead, you're going to come from a place where you want to get your needs met. And there really is no world in which it exists where your child is going to want to meet your needs. I don't care what age they are. Healthy enough parenting begins with parents meeting their children's needs, and that continues on for the rest of their lives because as children, right? We're someone's children. We want our parents to meet our needs when we are at certain ages. So they're looking at that from you too. They don't want to meet your needs. They want you to meet their needs because inside of themselves, they believe that is what their parents' roles are to them. We are not living in a day and age anymore where adult children are living in a world where they have to respect their parents at all costs. It doesn't happen anymore. The world has changed. Society has changed. The internet has done a lot to change this because anybody can use their voice and be encouraged to say whatever they want anymore. And so everybody has a voice now to say what they want. So if you're still living in a world where you are expecting that your child is going to respect you at any cost, you're not going to make a move in the right direction towards reunification. It just won't happen today. So I want you to come from a place of consistency in your own mind of where you are in this day and this generation with your child. And that's coming from a calm place to understand that they are hurting from some of your actions that you did towards them. That is how they feel about this. I've talked to enough of them in my day to know that this is how they feel. They feel it is your job to do the repair work with them. And this leads us to something else, right? Come with them second in a way to validate their feelings. This must be a consistent measure that you take over time when you want to reconnect with them. Look, I get it. Many parents feel anxious over trying to do this, right? And also many parents feel that, why do I have to do this? Because I know that I was right in this and what they're remembering is wrong. But here's the thing, everybody. You're saying you're right and they're saying they're right. Is there really truth when it comes to dysfunctional family relationships? I'm here to tell you, I don't think so. There really isn't truth. Truth is hard to find when emotions are up in the air all the time. Truth is not always objective. And when you're going through something yourself, you can't always be as objective as you would like to be when something is going on. So what there are perspectives. And that is something that you have to understand here and change that terminology within your brain. That I'm coming at this and I'm just recognizing that my child has a different perspective from me in terms of what happened. That is going to change so much for you. Because when you're in that mindset, you're going to be able to use that to validate their feelings. They're not interested in you coming to them, trying to control these conversations or saying things to them like, well, I don't feel like really sitting down with you unless you're able to listen to my side as well. That is not going to help you here at all. In fact, that's going to push you way out the door. You want to create an atmosphere of validation and understanding, such as, I understand that you have many concerns about what happened growing up between the two of us, and I am very open to sitting down with you and discussing this and taking accountability for how I made you feel and how I hurt you. That is a golden sentence there to help you in your journey back to them. Now, remember what I just said. What we're talking about tonight is consistency. You can't just do this one time. You can't do it 5 times. Every case is different. Every child is different. You may have to do this a million times before you break through. But that is the context in which you want to reach out to your children to validate them. The best thing you can do consistently in your communication with your adult children is to constantly show up with empathy and understanding and validating your child's emotions. Let them know that their feelings are important to you and that you understand why they might be angry with you. Validating their emotions does not mean you have to agree with their perspective. You don't have to agree with it, but it helps to create a safe space when you identify it. And we want a safe space. That's when kids start to open up over time, when they feel that they are being heard by you. And you have that power, everyone. That's why I'm talking about consistency tonight, because you are the one that controls that consistency when you're reaching out to them. And I always suggest reaching out maybe every other week, depending on how much you are talking to them. But every other week is a nice thing, because there's a week in between where your child gets to think about what you wrote the last time. And then there's something again after that follows up, confirming again that I do see your feelings. I do validate your pain. I'm really trying to change here. So that's a consistent method there that can really help you in planning out how you're going to communicate to them in a consistent way. The next tip that I want to give you tonight is taking inventory of your own behavior. This has to be ongoing and consistent as well. So a nice thing I like to encourage my clients to do this is to really sit down and start reflecting on things that you believe occurred in the past that they could be upset about. But you may already have a list of things that they're already upset about, like you're selfish, or you screamed at them, or you didn't put them first in this incident or that incident. That is where you begin. Instead of saying to yourself, oh, I didn't do this, that is not what happened. Instead, say, let me sit down and look at this. Let me evaluate this. Let me see where I can find ways to give my child empathy over this. Like, being yelled at hurts. Even though you don't believe that it hurt them, and maybe you believe that they should get over it, and I'm not saying that is what you may believe, but you may. That's how you feel about it. That's not how they feel about it. And your actions could very well have hurt them, because when a parent yells at a kid, it doesn't feel good, and it feels demeaning, and it feels like you're disappointed in them. And so that's hurtful to a child. So take inventory of not this from your perspective of how your behaviors may or may not hurt them, but from their perspective of how that would hurt. Consider whether there has been any conflict or misunderstandings or mistakes on your part that might have contributed to your child's anger. I promise you, you will find something. You know why? Because not every parent in this world is not perfect. We've all made mistakes with our children, myself included. But if I sit down and I really could make a list of when I said things that hurt their self-esteem, or I wasn't filtered as much as I could have been at a certain time, I'm going to find things. It's human nature. So write those things down, evaluate them, and then take responsibility for those actions to your children and be open and honest about that with them. And when I'm talking about being open and honest, you can say things to them that I recognize that I hurt you here. I hope that by me recognizing this, that it lends you some comfort over what went on. I wish that back then I could have been aware enough and had that understanding to apologize to you then when it was happening. That's how you take inventory of your own behavior and come to them in a consistent way about it. And everything that you write down on that list, even if you think it's not relevant, really look at it and come up with sentences that you can send to them that shows that you're taking accountability for that and you're not pointing fingers at them. The more consistent you can be without pointing fingers to them and taking consistent accountability for this, it's going to help you repair this relationship. It definitely is going to help you. Research has proven that when parents take accountability for their actions towards their children, that children are more susceptible to forgiving and moving forward. When you keep denying what has happened and you want to prove that you're right and they're wrong, it's not going to move. It's not going to move in this relationship, and it's not going to move in any relationship that's been going on within your life. Another thing that you need to be consistent with when you want to repair a relationship with your estranged or alienated child is apologizing and meaning it. Many people will say to me, Dr. Sue, I'll apologize for that, but I don't mean it. And then I say to myself, then you're not apologizing. Because if you don't feel inside of yourself that your actions actually hurt your child, then what are you apologizing for? Because if you're like fake apologizing, what's going to end up happening is that later on that's going to catch up with you, and you're not going to be very consistent in what you're saying because you don't believe in it. So for me, a lot of work in being consistent is actually believing that you hurt your child and owning it. And I know that's hard sometimes. It really is difficult to own that you hurt someone. But when you do own it and you feel it, then you can be vulnerable enough to share that with them. And vulnerability is such a gift. It so is, because it opens up communication and understanding and listening and feeling safe with one another. When you're not vulnerable with anybody else, it just shuts things down. There's nowhere to go. So really think about this. If you're not in a place where you can apologize and mean it, and you're still in a defensive state, don't even try these techniques. They will not work. You have to apologize and mean it. And so if you're not there, okay, start working with somebody to get there, because you can get there. Once you release within yourself that because I hurt my child, that doesn't make me a bad parent. That doesn't make me a bad mom. It doesn't make me a bad dad. It makes me a human parent. And there's nothing wrong with being a human parent. Parents that are human-like, right? They human-like we're not. I don't know why I just said it, but anyway, who cares? What I'm trying to say to you right now is people that make mistakes, right? That when you admit that to your child, they're going to be really willing to look at this over time if your apologies are meaningful and consistent. Take responsibility for what you did and show genuine remorse. Please, your kids can feel when you're genuine or you're not. And it'll come out in the way that you're expressing yourself. And that is when you say it, you will feel it, and it'll come out on paper. And it won't be about if you're right or you're wrong. It'll just be, I'm sorry. I am truly sorry for hurting you. I could have done better, and I should have done better. The end. You don't have to defend yourself after that. That's the beauty of consistency. It doesn't have to be long. It can be short and simple. Making amends, right? Making amends really involve changing your behavior and making reparations or finding ways to rebuild trust. I mean, that's what this is all about. You're taking a relationship that's been severed and you're trying to rebuild trust. And the only way that people rebuild trust with one another is being consistent in empathetic language and meaning what you're saying. That's the only way I know how to do it. If you have a better way, let me know. Rebuilding trust takes time and consistency. It takes patience. It takes you demonstrating your commitment to repairing this relationship. When you say something to your child, such as, and I am willing to go slow with this, you better be able to go slow, and you better show them that you are going slow. Meaning, when you say I'm going slow, that doesn't mean you say to them, okay, so we had a couple exchanges here, and now next week, let's go out to dinner. That's not going slow, and that's not building back trust. That's rushing your agenda because you want to recreate the past. Maybe you want to recreate that connection again, but you're not consistently doing this to recreate the old connection. I want to be clear on that. I hope you're not doing that for that. I hope you're not here for that either. You can't recreate the old connection. First of all, the old connection didn't work really well. You're here to consistently create a new beginning, whatever that may hold for the both of you. New beginnings are great sometimes. They can even be healthier, but it will come if you are consistent and you continue to show up with support for your adult child. That's how it happens, everybody. You show up with support for your adult child, that you're here for them, that you're willing to meet them where they are, that you don't have demands on them, that you're willing to go at their pace and with their boundaries, right? They have boundaries that they would like you to follow. Some of these boundaries in adulthood is not showing up unexpected. Or, calling before you're coming over to say, is it okay if I come over? Or I can't speak to you right now. Let's find a time later in the day where we can connect, which is convenient for you. The more that you can make this connection between you and them easier for them, they're going to be more willing to move forward with you in a quicker way. When you push your agenda on them, that's not going to help. They're not here to meet you where you are. They're coming back so you can meet them where they are. It's my best advice to everybody that is going through this. And why do I give this advice so much? Because it works. It works. And I'm only going to give you tips that I think work. I'm not going to give you tips that I don't think are going to work for you. But I've seen in the consistency of my practice and in the consistency of parents who have followed a lot of these consistent rules, that consistency over time has broken through to their children. And that's why I picked this topic today, because I think consistency and empathy are so critical when it comes to repairing all kinds of conflictual relationships, but mostly with alienated or estranged children. It has to be on their terms because they're so afraid that if they come back to you, you're just going to keep controlling their lives, and they don't want that. My final tip in learning how to be consistent with your children is seek out professional help. Nobody can do this on their own. I haven't seen anyone do it yet without some kind of guidance or help. It's really hard because of the emotional power that has happened between the two of you and that emotional connection, which is very powerful, because I know you want your children back so much. They want you back, but they don't want you back the way that they see you now. They want you to come back in a different way where you can hear them and see them and validate them. So you need somebody professional, in my opinion, to work with you through that. And to work with you through your conflict, to work with you to be persistent when it feels like it's not working, and to help you find words to communicate to your children in an effective way where you can be heard to them. They want to hear you. I promise you that. They do. I've been told that by them. but they want to be heard first. Okay? They want to be heard first. Once they're heard first, they will hear you. So my final thoughts on this tonight are that no matter what your adult child's age is, be willing to learn from setbacks that have happened. Learn that no one's perfect. Learn that the key to healing any kind of relationship, especially with your child where it's just conflictual all the time, comes from you finding that empathy for them, that they went through their own experience of whatever went on in your homes or whatever went on after they left your home. They have their own feelings and perspective about it, and it must be validated in a consistent way. Be aware of your own behaviors and how it may be affecting your child's emotional well-being. Look at that, write it down, map it out. See where you can find that some of the behaviors and mistakes that you made with them can be rectified by giving that understanding and compassion to them. I can understand why you would feel that way when I raised my voice. I'm guessing that it made you feel scared and unsafe. That's really the sentences that I'm talking about in terms of trying to be consistent and reconnect with them. Help is there for you. Look, I'm a coach that does this every single day. There's other coaches that are out there in the world too that can help you as well with this, but find somebody, please, that understands estrangement and alienation situations, because there's a limited group out there that really do understand this. And hold this in your hearts, that when you learn that conflict can be managed by compassion and not by more conflict, and that your kids are not here to meet your needs, you're really ahead of the game in this repair work. I hope that you learned a lot tonight about what consistency is, what the tools are to be consistent with your children in reconnecting, and I wish you well. You can always reach out to me at www.drsueandyou.com. If you are experiencing this and you want to try these methods that I gave you tonight, you know, after you watch this video, write them down below. If you have questions, write them below the video after you've watched it. I'd be happy to answer them for you. All right. Have a great night and never give up hope. Bye-bye.
Next week on Families Divided TV, Lisa Rothfuss answers the question, what do you do when they say they hate you?